I'm awake. Some of us are. I'm alive and I am here. What a perfect song for this morning when it seems like a lot of us are probably still sleeping. But welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. I'm very happy to see those of you who are awake and who are here. And if you are watching us on live stream, we are glad you are here. If you are watching the recording after, we are glad you are doing that. Please like us, share us, make comments, let us know you're there. We want you to feel a part of this community. So, my name is Lori Carlson. I'm a licensed practitioner here, and I'm very honored to be doing the talk today and be here for you. As you know, our center is going through transitions. Things are moving, things are changing. Our beloved Reverend Frankie re-inspired this past week. And so, just so you know, there's like going to be some different looks. Some of the things that were part of our center look were Reverend Frankie's private things. So there will be a little bit of change, but we have a vision and things will come together. So we just ask you to bear with us while that happens, right? We are always in change and we are always welcoming the new. So this community will continue on. The yearly theme for Centers for Spiritual Living is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. The monthly theme, which is perfect for us, is the flow of coming and going. Well, we know something about that here, right? The flow of coming and going. And the theme for today, this week, is the still small voice. So in this teaching, we know that the presence of the divine is already within each of us. And it is our job as people on a spiritual path to learn how to access it, to learn how to listen. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, about deep listening, about learning to pay attention to what you are listening to and who you are listening to, and to open yourself to make space so that you can hear that still small voice within. And so you can learn how to discern the still small voice of the divine from that ego mind and chatter that is always going, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. But first, we're going to start with our namaste practice. And we're going to do it the way I like to do it, which is not just as a general greeting, but as a spiritual practice. So I'm going to ask you all to pair up with someone. And what we're going to do is we're going to make eye contact. We're going to stand up. We're going to make eye contact with whoever you are next to or whoever you can find a partner. And we are going to say the divinity, the divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity in you. Then we're going to take a breath, have the first person receive it, and then we're going to switch. And the other person is going to say, the divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity within you. But I want you to do this from a place of conscious intention, from a place of really looking beyond appearances, surfaces, and really try to see to that inner divinity within the other person and be seen. So it's a real spiritual practice of conscious intention. So I invite you all to stand up, find someone if you have to move, whatever you need to do.
I've got to look all around.
There you go. Okay, so the divinity within me recognizes and honors the divinity within you.
The kid in me.
Be seen and see from that place of inner divinity. Okay, everybody, this is not chit chat. That was a spiritual practice. So we're going to sit in that knowing and in that place of recognizing, right? Recognizing the divinity within ourselves and within one another. And from that place, we are going to open today's celebration, as we always do, with a spiritual mind treatment. That is our word for affirmative prayer. And what that means is that we are not begging and beseeching to a God outside of ourselves, but rather we are affirming the truth as we know it. That there is one mind, that we are a part of it, and that we can declare into that mind that which we desire, that we can affirm our good. So that's what we're going to do. So I invite you to close your eyes if you are comfortable doing so. and to hear these words as if they were your own, because we are all part of that one mind, so they kind of are. So, right here, right now, in the oneness of the divine, in this place of recognition of the divinity within each other, I know this truth. I know that we are each unique expressions of this one divine presence, and that as a community, we are open to receive our good. We are open to hear the still small voice of the divine, and that we listen to one another and to that inner voice from a place of loving awareness, from a place of conscious intention. And so I know that we are uplifted, empowered, and inspired by today's celebration. That we hear what we need to hear, that all is done for our highest and best good and our growing evolution of our spiritual connection with the divine and of our ability to hear it. And so with deep gratitude for this beautiful teaching, for this beautiful community, and for our beloved Reverend Frankie as she goes off on her re-inspirement, I say thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, one another, for being a blessing, for being love in action, and for opening to hear the divine voice of wisdom within you. And so from this place of deep gratitude, I simply release this word into that law which does unto us as we believe. And so from a place of deep faith, I simply let it go. And I invite you all to join me in saying, and so it is. Okay, so that still small voice. It's the voice of wisdom, it's the voice of intuition, it's the voice of the divine. And it is already within you. It is already within each of you. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be baptized to find it. You don't have to do anything. It is there. This is what we know in this teaching, that the spark of the divine and all of its wisdom exists within each. So, why don't we know all the answers to everything? It is a practice. It is our job to learn how to hear it, to learn how to access it, to learn how to align with it. How do you expect to hear that still small voice of intuitive wisdom if you are filling your life with noise? How noisy are your lives, guys? How much time do you spend in the chatter of the world, with the news on, with the TV on, with the radio playing, with, hearing the sounds of traffic? How much time do you give yourself to spend in stillness? Because that's where this voice lives. This voice lives in stillness and in silence and in the space between. But how much space are you creating in your life for that voice to emerge? Because you have to allow it. You have to invite it. You have to create space for it. And that's what we need to do on a daily basis, is to pay attention to what we listen to pay attention to how full of sound and noise and everything we make our lives, and be willing to create space, because it's in that space that still small voice of intuition emerges. Like our namaste practice right then, right? Recognizing and honoring that divinity within, and then recognizing and honoring in others. That's that place when you take that pause and you know that truth. That's where you can hear that intuitive voice. So I am someone who sort of fluctuates back and forth between, a lot of noise, a lot of music playing all the time, and silence. I love the silence. I'm comfortable sitting with myself. I do a lot of meditation. I do bowls. I do things that allow for space, that create space. But it's really important awareness to notice if you do or not. My sister, for one, who I love dearly, but always had the TV on at her house in the background, always. Used to drive me berserk because there was never quiet. And she was happy with it. I mean, for some reason she needed the noise, but I was like, oh my God, just like always a continuous soundtrack. And my boyfriend, on the other hand, we would get in the car and I would want to DJ and put on a soundtrack, and he would be like, can we just have quiet? We rode he rode a motorcycle, I was the passenger. And I had, a helmet with a headset with music and everything, and I usually didn't use it. Because when I was in the flow of the sound of the wind and just the quiet, I wrote some of my best poetry on the back of that motorcycle, let me tell you. So that's where you hear that voice of the divine, when you create space, when you allow it. So the question to ask yourself is, do I always need to fill the silence with something? Or am I comfortable sitting in it? Reverend Frankie always said she had unplugged Fridays, right? On Fridays she would unplug. And I used to think that just meant she didn't answer her phone. Like, okay, so on Fridays she doesn't answer her phone, she doesn't go on the computer. But I came to realize that it was a conscious choice to create space for something different, for the divine, for creativity. Because you are saying no to all the distractions. You are creating a conscious intention of allowing and receiving and tuning in. By tuning out to everything out there, you are tuning in. And from that place, that's where that voice emerges. That's how you allow it to come into your life. So, I'm big on quotes, So Martha Beck says, somewhere in there, among the worries, questions, advice, and advertising jingles, lives your intuition, your true inner voice. You can hear it to the extent that you give it your attention. So we know that whatever you give your attention to is what expands, right? That what you pay attention to, where you put your energy, is what you get more of. So if you pay attention to those intuitive moments, if you pay attention to those, I like glimmers, right? I call them God moments. Those things where, oh wow, things just happen to align, right? Or the way my affirmation speaks to someone else that day is exactly what they need. All of those things that are putting you in alignment with your intuitive wisdom, that's the still small voice emerging. Mark Nepo, and this is one of my favorite books, and look, I'm doing a Reverend Frankie thing now, with all the little tabs, is 7,000 Ways to Listen. He says, so intuition is the very personal way we listen to the universe in order to discover and rediscover the learnings we are born with. As such, intuition is a deep form of listening that, when trusted, can return us to the common, irrepressible element at the center of all life and to the oneness of everything that surrounds us. The learnings we are born with. I just love that language, but that really speaks to that intuitive wisdom, that spark of the divine that you don't need to learn or earn or anything else. It is there. It is your intuitive practices. It is your willingness to spend time in that space that allows you to recognize them. He also says, intuitive listening requires us to still our minds until the beauty of things older than our minds can find us. The beauty of things older than our minds. What is that but the one mind, right? What is that but our sacred traditions? What is that but everything that we already have within? But we have to quiet ourselves to come into that place, to access it. It's like, that voice is like always kind of vaguely nudging your shoulder, but we get so busy and so loud and so moving around that we don't pay attention. right? And that's where the work is, to learn to pay attention. So, I'm going to kill you with quotes today, but Dean Ornish says, we all have an inner teacher, an inner guide, an inner voice that speaks very clearly, but usually not very loudly. Not like me. That information can be drowned out by the chatter of the mind and the pressure of day-to-day events. But if we quiet down the mind, we can begin to hear what we're not paying attention to. We can find out what's right for us. So this is what our practice is, right? And it's always, if you've ever heard me speak before, it's practice, practice, practice. It's your daily routines. It's what you do every day that creates your experience, that creates who you are and how you show up in the world. So I have a meditation practice every day. I have an affirmation practice every day. I do treatment every day. So this is just not a shaming thing or a judgment thing, but this is an invitation to you to create for yourselves a daily routine, even if it's 2 minutes. So to learn to discern that intuitive voice, you have to ask it. You have to allow space for it, and you have to ask it. So you can do that in little simple ways throughout your day. You come to the corner, you're in the car, you come to the corner, your GPS on your phone is telling you to go this way. What if you just paused and said, which way should I go today? We've all heard stories of the people who just intuitively took a right when they planned on going left and then found the house of their dreams, or, like something else happened because they listened. They took a moment and they listened. And they didn't just go by automation, like that automaton that just does everything. You have to take the pause and really turn within to listen. And your body is a great place to start, right? The expression is listen to your gut. Well, your body knows. Your body will tell you if you pay attention. Your body will tell you when something is true. I know I did, it was probably 2 years ago now, an applied kinesiology practice one time up here when I was the practitioner about, putting something in one hand and putting something in the other hand, and which arm is weaker. That, is this good for me or is this good for me? Check it out, it's cool. But your body knows, but it takes you paying attention to it. Like your body will tell you when you need rest, and if you don't pay attention, you'll get sick because it will hit you with the 2x4 to get your attention. But the idea of being on a spiritual journey is to pay attention before that happens. Mahatma Gandhi says, the inner voice is something which cannot be described in words, but sometimes we have a positive feeling that something in us prompts us to do a certain thing. The time when I learned to recognize this voice was, as I may say, the time when I started praying regularly. And I would add, or meditating regularly. And I think he knew what he was talking about as far as listening to that inner voice. So we have to open ourselves to the practices that create the space and the allowance so that we can hear that intuitive voice. And then how do you discern if that's your inner voice, your intuition, or divine, still small voice, or if it's your ego mind and chatter? Well, one of my friends from, you all know I'm in 12-step, right? One of my friends from my 12-step program sponsor says, in the 11th step in AA, it's sought through prayer and meditation to increase our conscious contact with God, to improve our conscious contact with God. And then there's more, but that's the important part. So sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. So he said to his sponsor, so how do I know when it's God's voice? And I just love what his sponsor said. His sponsor said, if that's easy, if it's in a language you understand, comes from a place of love, and is non-judgmental, it's your higher power. If it's confusing, garbled, based in fear or doubt, it's your disease. So in 12-step, we call that our disease, but basically it means your ego mind, right? The small self. So that's a way to recognize it. That's a way to allow for a greater understanding. Your intuitive voice is always going to be one of expansion, not contraction. Is always going to be one of infinite possibility, not lack and limitation. It's always going to be one of cooperation rather than competition. It's always going to be one of love rather than separation. So you have to practice listening so that you can discern the difference. If you don't ever practice, it's just like anything else, right? It's like a muscle. If you don't give it any time, if you don't give it any attention, then when you really need it and you have a big crisis and you're like, oh my God, I need please, tell me what to do. Well, how are you going to access that voice? You haven't been listening all this time. You haven't practiced. You haven't invited it. You haven't gotten familiar with it. If you do it in little ways throughout your day and throughout your life, then you get familiar with it, you get comfortable with it, and you can come to a place of trusting that it is there for you, that intuitive wisdom exists. And from a place of trust, you can make different choices. From a place of trust, you can allow yourself to hear and to decide based on that, right? So it always comes back to that place of stillness, that place of silence, that place of allowing. And Mark Nepo, God, sorry guys, I'm such a big fan. Mark Nepo says, in essence, we hear in equal measure to what we listen with. When we listen with our mind, we understand more of life. When we listen with our heart, we feel more of life. When we listen with our entire being and spirit, we are transformed and joined with life itself. So what is it you are listening with? I asked you what you were listening to. Well, what are you listening with? Are you listening with that inner divinity? Are you listening with your whole spirit? Are you listening with faith? Are you listening with trust? Are you listening with an open mind, willing to receive? Or are you stuck in the chatter in your mind and the confusion of the world and other people's opinions and complaints and all of the things that fill us up and take us away from that still sacred space? This is a choice that you get to make over and over and over. Are you willing to make a different choice? Are you willing to allow for the noise of the world to dissipate, at least for a few minutes every day, and open yourself to the divinity within? Open yourself to that intuitive wisdom. Are you willing to question? Because that's how you find it, right? That's how you hear it. By questioning, by saying, oh, what is mine to do? How can I better show up as love? How can I do the loving thing? And then, listen. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, I don't do this perfectly. I can ask myself the question, and then my mind has already given me all the answers, right? It's like, yeah, okay, blah, 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 blah. No, you have to ask the question and sit and breathe and listen deep within. Listen for what is not this voice. I shared here before, I call it my Bertha voice, right? So that complaining, critical, self-judgmental voice, that's not the voice of the divine. That is not that inner divinity or wisdom, but we all have it. And it takes stepping away and silencing, even for a minute, this voice to hear this one. And the more often you do it, the easier it will become. So, are you going to set aside a few moments to practice? Are you going to choose meditation, prayer? There's also visioning. Michael Beckwith, I got that book. Michael Beckwith wrote a book called Life Visioning, and there's a whole process of questioning and listening. Questioning how to find your purpose in life. Questioning, it's a 7-question series, I think, but it's about opening to hearing divine wisdom. And it starts from a place of trusting that it's there and available to you. But you have to do the work. You have to be willing, you have to be open, and you have to regularly allow yourself to access it. Because otherwise, it's just like a GPS on your phone that you have the volume turned down on, and you're not going to hear it. When the divine voice is trying to guide you, if you're not listening, how is that going to help? So in this teaching, and as people on a spiritual path, we have to learn through our daily spiritual practices to turn within. What is it we say in this teaching? As within, so without. Right. So we have to go within. If we want peace in our lives, if we want answers, if we want guidance, we have to turn within first. And like I said, that takes space. That takes stillness. And there are so many ways to meditate. We do affirmative prayer, but there are also so many ways to pray. There are so many ways to access that place of sacred divinity. You can do it through art, you can do it through music, you can do it through walking in the woods, you can do it through photography, whatever it is that brings you into alignment, but always pause, breathe, and be present, and allow, and listen. Oh my gosh, the deep listening is so important. And how many of us multitask while we're listening? How many of us are listening with one ear and doing something else with half of our minds, right? How many of us really pay attention to what someone else says, let alone to what our own inner voice says? So this is how you build the skill. This is how you exercise the muscle. Pay attention, practice deep listening in all the little ways. If you're listening to music, listen to the music. Don't listen to the music while you're doing 14 other things. I mean, I'm not saying don't have music playing while you're doing stuff, but spend some time in conscious intention of just being with that. Spend some time every day listening within to that still small voice that wants to guide you. Know that there is a place within you that wants, there is a wisdom within you that wants to be known, that wants to be heard, that wants to help guide you. Because the universe is always happening for us, not to us, right? That's what we believe. But we have to do the work. We have to do what it takes to allow ourselves to be guided, to benefit from the gifts, to benefit from the guidance. It doesn't just happen. It happens with conscious intention. It happens with the choices that we make. So, if you build it, what is it, the movie? If you build it, they will come, right? But if you build the muscle, it will be there when you need it. If you practice listening in the small ways, in other ways in your life, when you really need it, it will be there for you to rely on. So, from this place of the still small voice within, which exists in the silence and the stillness, we are going to now have a song that is about us joining our voices. So Vern, will you please play the Michael Gott song? And I had asked a couple of people, would anybody be willing to come up here so that I'm not the only one on camera and sing with me, please? This is a chant that we can do, and we don't have the words, but you'll hear it. And yes, come on up. Let's let the people on.
The impromptu choir.
Yes, the impromptu choir.
Sweet Caroline this time.
Yeah.
Come on.
And anybody else who wants to, please, everybody join in. It's an easy chant. Go ahead, Vern. Start it. Join us, everyone. Yeah, this is strong. We are strong. Together we are strong. Now it's peace.
Joy, joy.
So I think this means that we need a CSLM choir so that we can all lift our voices together. So that was really great. Thank you. We were supposed to have Grayson Nierenberg as live music today, but unfortunately he's still testing positive for COVID. So when I come back in 2 weeks, he will be with me then. So you can look forward to that. But this whole talk has been about listening to that still small voice and being able to pay attention and deep listen so that you can discern the outer voice, the chatter, the ego voice from the still small voice within. So we are going to do, having just raised our voices together, I'm going to lead you now in a short meditative practice to practice that deep listening that we've been talking about. So I invite you to close your eyes and to just take a breath, breathing in and breathing out. Just pay attention to your breath and arrive in your body. Feel present. Now I invite you to bring your awareness to the sounds in the outer room. What do you hear? My voice, the sound of the heater, the sound of people breathing around you. Just notice. What is it you hear? And now take a breath and bring your awareness to that inner place. See if you can listen to what your body, your heart is telling you right now. Maybe you feel an ache or an itch. Maybe you feel a little anxious, or maybe you feel joyful for being here. Just go within. Take a breath and just listen. Maybe listen to the sound of your own breath. Can you listen deeply enough to hear the sound of your own body breathing? Maybe you can hear the beating of your heart. Just bring your awareness within. And it's probably normal for thoughts to pop up. I mean, it is normal, not probably. But we're going to try right now in this practice to let them go. Maybe it pops up, oh, I'm so hungry, I hope social hours start soon. Just see it as a thought and let it go. And bring your awareness back to that still, quiet place within, where you are just hearing the sound of your own breath, where you are listening for that inner guidance. Feel what it feels like to be open, to receive, to be truly listening. And when you are spending time in this place of listening to your own heart, to your own self, this is where the inner wisdom, the intuition, that still small voice resides. So now I invite you to ask a question in this space. It doesn't have to be a big life-altering question. Just ask yourself a question. Maybe, what's the best thing for me to do with the rest of the day? Or if you have a decision to make, what really should I do about that? Just gently ask. And then we're going to take the next 5 breaths to just listen. Listen to what arises. Pay attention. Pay attention to whether your body feels relaxed with what arises, whether it feels like it's coming from a place of love or of judgment, of love or of fear. So just take those few breaths. And pay attention to what comes up. So you see how simple it is to just spend a few moments in receptivity, in deep listening. And tuning out from the outside so that you can tune in to the inside. And if nothing came to you, if nothing came up, that's okay. Just know that you have begun the practice. Just trust that something will arise. The more you spend time there, the more space you create for it, the more you cultivate that receptivity to hear with deep listening, that still small voice. Just trust and practice. So, the next breath, you can gently wiggle your fingers and toes, open your eyes, and come back into the room. And know that you can do this anytime. You should do this. I hate to shit on you, but every day, because you are building that muscle. You are creating that space. You are allowing yourself to get familiar with your own inner voice, with your intuitive wisdom. So from that place of intuitive wisdom, it is now time for our conscious giving. Vern, we're going to do this a little different. Will you put on the Karen Drucker song, please? Sure. So since we had a choir, since we raised our voices, we're going to have a singing chant during our time of conscious giving. So I'm going to pass the basket. You can fill out an envelope. You can give cash. You can Venmo, PayPal. You can go to our website and hit the donate button, which is what I do. However you want to give. Give from that place of abundant joy. Give from that place of the divinity within you that recognizes and honors the divinity in this community, in each one, knowing that your good is abundantly returned to you. Keep playing it. So this is a chant. I'm going to pass the basket, and I'm going to invite you all to chant along with me. I'm going to sweat it. Let there be an open channel. That's what it is. If love is why I'm here, let me give and receive. Okay, if love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive. Love is why I'm here. Let me be an open channel. If love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive. So we know the law of circulation, right? As you give, so you receive. And we know that love is why we're here, right? To be love in action. If love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive. Okay, forgot about this part. And receive. And receive. So if love is why we're here, let me give and then receive. Well, I hope you have all received something today from this celebration, from this talk, from this time together. I know I certainly have. And I would like to thank Jean and Christy for Social Hour, which follows this. I would like to tell you all that I am always available for Treatment Express. If you know me, you know that I don't miss an opportunity to treat. So even if I've got a plate of food and you want treatment, please come to me. I am happy to treat for you. I am honored to treat. So please come to me for an affirmative prayer if you so desire. Also, I just want to let you know that we have a few Science of Mind magazines up here if you want. We also have a big heart up here where you can join a group to help facilitate our transition and going forward. There's like, you can volunteer to be a part of different teams. So that's up here as well. I think we really don't have any other announcements up here today. So yay for that. So with that being said, we're going to close the way we always close at Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. And I just want to say that for anybody who is still struggling with the transition and everything, please make use of your practitioners. Gail is here, I am here, Reverend Janice is available to you. There are practitioners at all of the centers. Please remember that a practitioner can help you to access and to hear that still small voice. We are trained how to listen to the spirit that is speaking to you. So please use us, okay? Because we want to support you during this time. And know that we go on. We go on and we go on joyfully. We go on in honor of Reverend Frankie and all she gave us and all she is and continues to be. For those of you who were there Thursday night, I read a tribute poem that I wrote for her, and I have it with me, so if anybody wants a copy who missed Thursday, you can have that. And so, okay, that's it. So, with that, I invite you to close your eyes, and we're going to do a closing spiritual mind treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer, which I explained at the beginning. And so this is the truth, that we are one. We are one with this divine consciousness, with this givingness, with this love. We as a community are each unique expressions, but we are an expression together. And as a community, we declare right here, right now, that we are willing to make space for that still sacred voice within. We each go forth to be demonstrations of love in action, to be uplifted, to be supported, and to support one another on this journey of spiritual evolution that we are on, where we come into greater and greater alignment with that inner divinity, so that we can access the wisdom that is available to each of us. I know this truth. I affirm this truth. I affirm the good of each one here and this community moving forward. I affirm that all is well. All manner of things are well. And with joyful expectation of all that is yet to come, with joyful expectation of greater and greater sacredness and awareness and space to hear the truth, to know the truth, and to be expressions of the truth, I say thank you. I am grateful for this opportunity to stand in consciousness with all of you. I am grateful for this opportunity to be a part of this beautiful, blessed community. I am grateful for each one of you and for the power of this word and the power of prayer and the power of pausing and allowing for that still small voice within to speak. And so from this place of gratitude, knowing that gratitude is a causative energy that just brings more good, I simply let this word go into that law that does unto us as we believe. And so from a place of deep faith, from a place of knowing our oneness with the divine and with each other, I simply let this word go. And I invite you all to join me in saying, and so it is. Amen, hallelujah, ashe, and let's have social hour.
Good.